Okay, let's create the same one here. It's 4 inches tall, 2 inches wide. So we'll add another tab. Go to part design. Select the sketch. I'm going to go to elongated hole. And I'll start, let's say, here. And I'll go up 3 inches and then over a ½ inch or 1 inch. Now I'll make it 2 inches wide. I'll use the line command. Go from here to here. I'm going to delete this circle out, delete this dimension out. The constraint it gives me when I use elongated holes, I don't really like it. Now before I do auto constraint, I have to create one constraint. It won't like it if you don't dimension to the point. This is the constraint you must create. I'll show you what happens when you don't. Select OK. Oh, you suck. This would be neat if this works now. If I highlight this and I go to auto constrain and reference these two lines and stack dimension it, well there, that might be an improvement on the 3D experience. Before it would dimension to the tangent edge. Okay, and it didn't, and I think it's because I created a slot. So let me do this another way. I'm going to use profile and start here, and we'll go up 3 inches and then wrap a curve and then go down and then go over. Wonder what's going to happen if I highlight this whole thing, because I need to get that point in there and go to auto constrain. See how it dimensioned to the tangent edge? Okay, so you got to be careful. You cannot have a dimension to the tangent edge like that. Make sure you do not dimension to that tangent edge. Okay, so undo. If I go to constraint, I want to select this point and this line. I missed the point. Okay, you must dimension to the center of the point, not to a tangent edge. The beauty of auto constraints is if you dimension to points that you know it's not going to like, you can then go to auto constraint and ask it to figure out everything else. So the only thing in this part you have to create is this one dimension. And then you ask the computer, hey, figure the rest out for me. I'll use these as my datum, so dimension everything off the datum when I select stack dimension. And of course there's only a radius, but it also added it in a tangent. So when you do auto constraints, first it looks for geometrical constraints, and then it looks for dimensional constraints. If you go to your legacy preferences under Sketcher, creating geometrical constraints is first, creating dimensional constraints is second. Geometrical constraints is anything with a symbol, dimensional constraints is anything with a value. So for example, when you select a line and we go to the dialog box, you'll see horizontal, perpendicular, all those types of things. And also in your legacy preferences, with these checked on, when I hit Smart Pick, all these are geometrical constraints. So it'll automatically try and lock those on when you have this turned on. It's going to automatically try and do all these geometrical constraints. It's a symbol and not a value. Value would be like a dimension line, a radius, a diameter, perpendicular, parallel, tangency, coincident. Those are geometrical constraints. I'm having a heck of a time moving this down. There we go. Alright, so it just adds the constraints on there, and all you have to do is finish by selecting some of the datums. Oops, not tangency. Fixed. Turn off these and select OK. Oh, I forgot something. I think this one has a hole in it. Yeah, it does. So let's delete this out. Create your profile again. Whoops, do not line up with the axis. That can be nothing but a headache. Go to profile. I'm just going to start up here, count up to 3, create a curve, create a line, create a line, create a circle. Now with that circle in place, if you have this highlighted and then you go and try and trap everything, it might deactivate the hole. So usually I just click off on no man's land and then highlight everything so I know it's going to grab everything. If I go right click properties and change the line weight right now. Okay, I'm just trying to help illuminate that on the video better. We can go to auto constrain, reference these lines, stack dimension them, and unfortunately it went to the tangent edge. Okay, so that's why before you auto constrain, sometimes you've got to know to constrain to points first. So I constrain to this point. I usually like to get that point first so I know it took it. And then I grab the line. Then when you auto constrain and reference these elements, stack it, everything's going to be okay. Let's try that again using the slots. Delete this out, create a line, create your circle, highlight everything, auto constrain, reference these lines, stack dimension this, and for some reason, oh dang it, I thought I made that line weight thicker. Okay, when I use the slot and create the constraint, it does dimension to the center point. So one of these needs to be a diameter call out. Which one is it? It's always the hole. If it's a hole, it's a diameter. Otherwise, it's not a hole. This is called a full radius. But that's a radius, not a diameter. Okay? Why is it not green? we got to do our datums. Remove the H and V, select OK. And that part's complete. Okay, we'll start another video and do the next demo.